There were two children one year for Mother's Day, and they instructed their mother to stay in bed for the morning. They were going to do something special for her. So the mother stays in bed, and pretty soon she smells bacon wafting up from downstairs. So she's waiting her breakfast in bed, and pretty soon nothing happens. She waits some more, nothing happens, and eventually she goes downstairs, and there are her two children eating breakfast. And she looks at them, and they said, "Mom, for Mother's Day, we decided to cook our own breakfast." So I found this as a joke on the internet, but I think it probably actually happened. That sounds real. So our dear mothers. Mothers are very much like electricity or running water. Everybody relies on them for daily life, and everybody takes them for granted. Very often we don't realize or appreciate mothers until something happens, which makes us realize just how much we do rely on them. And so I would like today to go through some of those considerations, not just what mothers do for us, but specifically how mothers, in the daily exercise of their motherly duties, their vocation, they very much can be conformed to Christ. So first and foremost, it would be good to remember our spiritual mothers. Firstly, our Holy Mother Church, which God has granted unto us, and through which we have spiritual life. It is true that without our natural mothers, no one of us would be here. Mothers give us physical life, but Holy Mother Church gives us spiritual life, and that is of the two the more important. We are given everything through Holy Mother Church we need as her children. Our food in Holy Communion, our instruction in the Beatitudes and the Ten Commandments, how to live, how to love, how to behave. All of these things our Holy Mother Church gives us. So it is good to thank God for that provision He's made for us. Also, of course, we would do well to remember our Blessed Mother today, to thank God for giving us to her when He did on the cross, when He said to St. John, "Son, behold thy mother, mother, behold thy son," giving her to all mankind. A very tender mother, our Mother Mary. She is the mediatrix of all graces. All graces that come to us come through her most tender hands. So we would, again, be well to thank her, to remember her, and to thank God today for giving her to us. Also, our other spiritual mothers, the consecrated religious, those nuns in the convents or in the active life, praying for us, working for us, giving an example of Blessed Mary on earth, a physical example. Remember those mothers as well. And of course, our deceased mothers, those who have died, have passed on, we should be remembering them in our prayers, our grandmothers as well, and having masses said for them, if we have not already. And Mother's Day, very important these days especially, that the world be reminded of the importance of mothers. Again, if it weren't for them, none of us would be here, and it is not easy. Right? And it is something which is actually very dignified, and it's a great power that women have to bear life. In fact, it's a power which not even the angels have. The least of the angels is more powerful than all of humanity put together, and yet the greatest of the angels cannot make another angel. But women, by bearing children and bringing them forth into the world, can make other human beings. It's a great power. It's a great dignity. And it's not easy, especially these days when motherhood is denigrated or attacked or seen as something unimportant. It's not easy for mothers to maintain that dignity and to sacrifice their lives in the fulfillment of that vocation. It does require quite a bit of sacrifice. But it does carry with it so many good and virtuous works. We could think that everything a mother does during the day, so much of it is a work of mercy. The corporal and spiritual works of mercy, mothers are fulfilling all the time. Right? Every time she makes that peanut butter sandwich, it's feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty. Right? Every time she changes a diaper or chases that little naked baby out of the house, right? Clothe the naked. Right? Mothers are always doing these things. Instructing the ignorant. Don't drink bleach. Take that out of your mouth. Right? Don't put your finger in the socket. Admonishing the sinner. Don't hit your sister. Put that down. Right? All these things. Mothers are doing this constantly every day. These are great works of mercy. Bearing wrongs patiently. Right? Mothers very often are misunderstood or misjudged or taken for granted. As we mentioned, moms take us everywhere. When we're younger, they take us to the dentist, to the doctor, they take us to catechism class, they take us to school, they take us to our friend's house. They do all these things, running around town doing all these things, and then rushing back to the house to make dinner to feed us so that we can complain we don't like it, it doesn't taste good. And then, after mom's done all that all day, she goes to bed, and we get a good night's sleep, but she stays up with the baby. And she's got 2 hours of sleep at night, and then we wake up in the morning all fresh, and we wonder, why is mom so crabby all the time? Maybe we wouldn't be the picture of charity if we only got 2 hours of sleep also. And so it's good to remember what sufferings our mothers go through and not to misjudge them. And to remember that what they do for us, even if we don't agree. Right? My mom's mean because she took away my cell phone. She won't let me go to so-and-so's house. I can't listen to this, I can't do that. Mom's mean. Mom is not mean. She loves you. That is why she's doing those things. She wants to give you what is good and protect you from what is evil. Maybe you don't agree, but we cannot say that mom is mean. She loves us. It is love which is inspiring this. We should remember that. And how many times have, especially for mothers of large families, right? It's not easy being a mom, especially when you've already been one 9 times, and that 10th one comes along, and you go out in public, and people think you're running a daycare center. Right? And they ask you, oh, they're all yours? And then you get some sidelong glances, right? You know what makes it happen, right? It's not responsible for the environment. Moms have to deal with this. And we don't realize, too, that moms, although they're surrounded by the family, they've got the kids and the husband and the friends, the family often, they can feel very alone sometimes. They feel like they're misunderstood or taken for granted, or they don't really have someone to talk to, or the children are always so needy, and their husband is so busy. They can feel that. Surrounded by family in the heart of the home, and it's a lonely heart. We should remember that. We should not take our mothers for granted and think that, they need some compassion too. It's a good thing for us to remember. And in order to do all this, in order to make all these sacrifices and do all these things, many women have given up things that they enjoy doing. Many women are very talented organizers. They're very intelligent. They can be involved in the community, and they've given that up to spend time taking care of the family. Many women are very good at sports, at swimming, biking, running. They enjoy it very much, and they give it up for 9 months out of the year because of a pregnancy. In fact, I know of a woman who was on the Olympic cross-country ski team, and they wanted her to go to the Olympics, and she said, no, the training schedule is too intense. I'm not willing to sacrifice my family for that chance at fame and glory and whatever. She dropped out. Many sacrifices mothers make for their family. And on top of all that, even after the kids leave the home, mothers still worry about them. Right? They worry about their vocations. Right? Are they happy? Are they having their kids? Are they happy in their family life? Are they maintaining the faith? Right? Many children, unfortunately, leave the faith or they stray for a while. It's a great pain to a mother's heart. And she suffers over that, worrying over her children. And also, too, we have those women who wanted to be mothers, but who couldn't for whatever reason. Couldn't adopt, couldn't have children, and they're suffering, too, over the children they wanted to have. It can be a great pain. They have the opportunity, like the consecrated religious, to be spiritual mothers, but they can suffer also, although there's no children in the home. So all of this, despite all of these difficulties, these trials, women still want to be mothers and they want to give themselves. And there are many joys that come with that, many natural joys and natural happiness from being a mother. But the greatest are spiritual. The greatest joys from motherhood are spiritual, and the greatest benefit are spiritual. And it takes the eyes of faith to see that. We should not stop just at what we see in this life, but look to the next, and especially look to Christ on how we can conform ourselves to Him. So let's do that. How are women, right? Women worried about their children who've strayed from the faith. How do they resemble Christ? When he was in the garden, right? In the agony in the garden, and he was sorrowing over lost sinners, those souls who would stray away from his sacrifice and his redemption. Sleepless nights. Remember our Lord before the Sanhedrin. He was dragged by the temple guard, cast before Annas and Caiaphas and Pilate all night long. No sleep. And he was ridiculed. He was embarrassed. He was accused falsely. The back pain that mothers many suffer, right? Remember our Lord's scourging at the pillar. Or the headaches that many mothers endure. Remember our Lord's crowning with thorns. The daily grind, right? Day after day, year after year, decade after decade, bearing those children, carrying all those burdens. Remember our Lord's carrying of the cross. His example there of fortitude, of perseverance. And that loneliness. Our Lord was lonely too on the cross, surrounded by all those who should have been his kinsmen, the Jews, right? All of his friends and family, they left him. He was alone. That entire giving up of self of our Lord on the cross, there are many other things he could have done, many other things even that in his human nature he wanted to do. He gave that up to give himself on the cross. And so mothers give up their lives for their family. A very great sacrifice they make. So these tremendous opportunities are there for mothers, and many, every single day we have those opportunities, those mothers do, but it is not automatic. And it's very important to remember this, that suffering itself is not going to redeem us. No matter who we are, no matter what that suffering is, we have to unite that suffering to Christ, accept it, and offer it to him. Because there are two men in history who suffered like Christ did, and we can learn from them. That was the two thieves next to our Lord when he was crucified. They both were crucified, they both suffered the same torments. One of them was saved, one of them was lost. The good thief, St. Dismas, said, "We suffer our punishment justly. We deserve this, but this man has done nothing wrong. Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom." He received salvation. The other thief rejected his cross. He said, "If you be the Christ, come down from the cross and take us with you. Take me off this cross, relieve my burden, relieve my suffering. I don't want it. I reject it." He lost his salvation. And that's a very ironic thing, in that the one man who had robbed people his whole life robbed himself of salvation at his death. A grim reminder to us. But also, it gives great hope in that no matter what we suffer, if we suffer it well, it doesn't matter who else sees it or who doesn't see it, who thanks us, who doesn't thank us, who takes us for granted or whatever. God sees it. And that prayer, "Lord, remember me," is very powerful. For all those mothers out there, remember that. Ask God to remember you. He does see your sufferings. He appreciates it. So I encourage everyone to examine our lives, examine our vocation, and look for these parallels. We're going to find them. Everybody can find a parallel in what I suffer. How did Christ suffer? Read the Gospels, read about the life of our Lord, and look for those similarities. Guarantee you'll find it if you put in the effort. Offer that to Christ, offer your sufferings in union with his, and that is going to be our salvation. And especially mothers, don't lose that opportunity. So often you don't have time throughout the day, quiet time to pray. I want to read, I want to do this. Corporal works of mercy, spiritual works of mercy, turn those into your prayer. Making those meals, taking care of those children, all those works of mercy, make that your prayer. Very valuable, very powerful. And so today, it's fitting that we do honor and thank all of our mothers, to remember those sacrifices and tell them you are grateful for them. Give them a hug, right? Kids, you husbands, hug your wives, hug your mothers. Thank them for the difficulties they endure. And mothers yourselves, recognize the great dignity you have as mothers, what God has given to you, and strive to turn that to your benefit and the benefit of Holy Mother Church. You can help the Church by your sufferings. And so I would like to give a special blessing to all the mothers here present. Per intercessionem Beati Mariae Semper Virgini, Sancta Anna, Sancta Gabriela, Dominus Vidue, benedictio Dei Potentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos, et mani et semper. Amen. God bless all of our mothers.